Hello.
Hey, good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Austin. How's it going?
Well, it's going good. I'm alive. Conscious.
Nice.
How are you?
Pretty good. Went to a doctor and if you help my ears, I can hear now.
Oh, yeah, good. That's
Yeah, medicine.
good. Having working ears is useful.
Yeah, because otherwise it's pretty disorienting.
Yeah, I bet.
Let's wait maybe 5 minutes. Uh, See if anyone else shows up. Um, Meanwhile, um, have you heard about GitHub?
Yeah, I used to use it a little bit at my last job.
Okay, cool. So Uh, last time we met, uh, you asked me for like opportunities to get started, and so it's quite uh, uncertain at the moment with the changes that are happening. One thing I can say for this working group is that we have this repository, which is used for. We've been actually trying to, figure out how we're going to use it. Uh,
Okay.
and there's no really consensus about how it should be. I use it in a way that I open issues uh, which describe what could be improved about developer experience on Cardano. And we're still not clear about what a valid pull request would be. And so maybe if you'd look through whatever the issues are and the pull requests are, and you could open a pull request and we could try to get text to merge it. This hasn't been online in the meeting yesterday, I suppose. Uh, and the subject of the group uh, from time to time gets revived, because this is the thing that is not going away, and all the time when new people join Cardano, this issue of a learning curve and time to becoming productive is kind of, each person experiences the learning curve. And so one of the things with the developer experience is how do we make onboarding more efficient so that people can be productive when they want to be. Because that's why most people join open source projects, because they want to do something for their career, for their intellectual capital, social capital, and things like this.
hmm
Yeah. Do you have questions, maybe?
Yeah, no, it's an interesting problem. Um, do you require people to have certain credentials before they can do anything, or?
Oh, I don't think that's interesting. All of the, let's just me see commits here.
I mean, I guess if they have their own files, they won't really screw up anything until the code is merged.
You don't need this special key to merge, because in other repositories in Cardano, if you want to merge some changes, you need to sign them with a key, and it's not the feature that's enabled on developer experience. So just need a GitHub account. That's all.
Oh, wow, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, there's a Cardano engineering handbook. That's cool.
Oh yeah, there is. I don't know how much live there is, but when it started, it was pretty cool. I think it's still live because people who started it still work on Cardano from time to time. And, yeah.
Cool.
Well, thinking about it, Cardano Engineering Handbook, there's also this, Cardano Developer Portal, which is the collection of documentation, and it should be kind of a more of a useful tool for anyone starting on Cardano. I don't know if you've met this resource before, but throughout the discussions in the last couple of years, we kind of all the time converge that this is the best resource to use so far, and as well as the best resource to contribute to if you want to do something along the lines of the Cardano Engineering Handbook. So testing the documentation which is there. For example, running Cardano node on your machine is something you could, like practice and experiment with if you'd like.
Okay.
Yeah. And then if you encounter any issues, you can report them, and it's a valid way to start contributing, and make yourself known. It's a lot of things happen on GitHub, at least where I'm, around where I am.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't have a GitHub account.
Oh, okay.
I will set one up.
Huh?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and set one up real quick.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. Because Git, if maybe GitHub itself will not be primary tool for Cardano indefinitely, but Git, the underlying software that GitHub is kind of providing user interface on top of, I don't think it's ever going anywhere because it's just so convenient, and I don't know any other really alternative people would use for version control. And so what we found out in Intersect is that we use it, and also I think kind of other tools that I used for the same purposes kind of get along with this tendency as well. So what is interesting in GitHub is that you have the history of changes of the thing that you're working on stored basically indefinitely, unless someone wants to purposely delete it. And so it makes very interesting for diagnostics and things like, I don't know, it's like Cardano uses Git and GitHub for documentation just because people who are coming like myself, or like GitHub is a popular social network, so activity on GitHub is a good thing for me. And so a lot of times this kind of, that's I think how documentation repositories are born, because people want to show activity on their GitHub. But yeah, sometimes we have, for example, ideas like I'm going to share with you. So I don't know if you can access it.
Try.
Yep.
Retainer.
Yeah. So my understanding so far is that Intersect is a kind of executive branch of Cardano, and a big part of what Intersect does is using the current ecosystem, DREPs, committees, and thus fund initiatives of different kinds. We have two major avenues for this in Cardano. One is Catalyst, and another now is Intersect, which is being kind of figured out in the last year. And so Catalyst has been worked out. New fund will be opening soon, within 1 month, I suppose. And so the thing is, when Cardano like the feature is that you have the treasury, right? And then the point of using the treasury is how do I persuade people? And in our case, this is DREPs, which are the digital parliament, people who make these decisions on supporting proposals. And so the role of the executive branch seems to be, I know what I'm doing, here is the plan, here is how much money we need for the next this much time, you know. And all of the things revolve around this activity in one way or another. And so Catalyst is one way to do this. It will be open soon. And there's, I don't know what categories will be available. Normally product should be available all the time. If you want to build something on Cardano, you can submit a proposal and get funding so that you can hire a team and build, or it's better if you have a team as well. So if you have a startup idea or something like this. And then within Intersect, I don't know if anything of like all of the things that I'm sharing are projections, right? This is some proposal writing things that members of Intersect took. And so if whatever of the proposals get supported by DREPs, then it will be used for different work streams. And then, like, as a citizen of a digital nation, what best you can do is to earn money off this digital nation. So by completing and delivering, so proposing changes and delivering the work that you are proposing. And so the document that I shared with you is from the open source office, which oversees this working group. So if you want to kind of integrate more closely and do part-time work for Cardano, that's the way to go. And if you want to lead, for example, a development team at some point, that's the thing to do. In our previous session, we discussed that you'd like to get involved in governance. And so in the context of open source, governance is somewhat specific, you know, and much time governance is submitting code changes. And actually, it's approximately the same process as you do with a grant proposal writing, but without, you know, the grant proposal part where here is some changes that I propose to the project. Normally, it's some, you know, code changes that affect how the project functions. And then the maintainers, who are people who, in one way or another, they are listed and elected to oversee the development of the projects, and they are people who work on the project most of the time. They look at your proposed contributions and they make the decision collectively. The case with me is often they think between themselves and like, oh, we have actually better idea, and this is like how we're gonna do it. And then this is how like the governance on the open source side happens. Is I try to use the software, doesn't work, something doesn't work, or I cannot do something easily, and then I'm coming to maintainers and saying, hey guys, it'd be nice to do this and that. And then from smaller scale, that's actually, I'll maybe be able to find yeah. No, it's not a. And so there's a kind of framework that open source developed. I don't know if it makes any sense to share it because it's pretty obvious, you know. It's like the less you know of how things work, the more difficult it is for you to propose constructive, like to give constructive criticism and propose some positive changes. Yeah. So in a lot of times, for me, it was like, oh my God, I want to help, and people are like, yeah, but we're already doing this stuff, it's like, what can you propose? And then iteratively, being, and but again, my job and work is mostly to connect with developers and find out what they want and what they do, and how can I become a developer myself, if I can, if I may call myself so, what makes a developer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, any questions?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm a baby. To be honest, I don't even know. I'm forgetting what code Cardano is written in. What language? Haskell?
Yeah, maybe pushing you towards code is not the most use of your skills and talents, right?
Yeah, but I still want to have a basic understanding of it. I think that's important.
Well, for basic understanding, I can recommend you some rituals, that make a Cardano developer. And so I would say the first ritual is to get a Cardano node running on a pre-prod. So
Okay.
how to run a Cardano node? Because essentially, well, okay, this should be actually, oh yeah, Cardano node, getting Cardano node. Oh yeah, so let's test the Cardano developer portal. And so here's the section of documentation I'm going to share with you. And there would be, you can find there instructions, getting Cardano node, and
nice. Yeah, I was just looking at that.
yeah,
Download the Cardano node GitHub. Okay.
yeah. Which operating system are you using? Which machine do you use?
I'm using a 2019 Dell XPS laptop right now.
Dell XPS should work, I suppose. There's this thing, if you look at the instruction, getting Cardano node, right? I'm using NixOS, and so the first step is very kind of painful and confusing for most people, because if you were to build, so if you look at getting Cardano node, there's building via Nix and building via Cabal, two options, right? And so there's huge instruction of quite a few pages on how to do this with Cabal, but with Nix, it's just one command. And I just tested it this week, and it works. Not one command, but like a short list of commands, but I tested them, they work. And so if you want to get a little bit into working with Cardano code, running this node on pre-prod should be fine on your computer, because I have much, it's newer, but it's a kind of, and I used to run on an old Dell, whatever, don't remember, but pretty old computer. And the pre-prod version worked. And so the first step is, so maybe you use Windows or Linux?
I use Windows.
Oh, Windows. Wow, that'd be not very easy for you then. Then, I mean, let's.
But yeah, so this is like just my laptop, but I also have a computer that I built that has a newer like i7 1200 processor and 3080 Ti.
Well, the thing is not with the power of the machine. If you would like to run a Cardano node and be a stake pool operator, which you potentially could be doing, because that's one of the ways how people get really integrated in Cardano. Again, I got complaints recently that it's not very easy to do because it's very political. Because in Cardano, if you want to be an SPO, you want people to delegate to your node, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how exactly do you do that? There's no really a manual or instruction for that. You talk to people and you persuade them that the thing that you do with your node is worth delegating their ADA to you, so that you get their rewards instead of anyone else. And so if you were to decide to become an SPO, I could help you take care of the technical side, because you would need to. It's quite technically complex. I could do this, I'm sure, but I didn't do this process all the way. But it includes running the Cardano node on a secure computer, which is also pretty powerful. So if we're running on our just day-to-day machines, we use preprod, which is a kind of a testing version. You can get free ADA there if you have a wallet on preprod. You can get free ADA. You can so it's for experimenting, and also the ledger there is much smaller, and so it runs fine on just like regular normal machine. And for the mainnet, you need a dedicated server that would be more powerful than something you use daily.
Okay.
So I'm trying to port mixed packages. So how about because if you were to run Cardano node, I could give you a task to run Nix on Windows. And
Okay.
I don't have any. So Nix installation guide. Single user install on the. Oh wow. Oh yeah, Windows subsystem. Yeah, okay, super. So if you could just figure out how to do this piece of documentation, and then to go to previous piece of documentation, and then use the step there, using Nix to build Cardano node would be much easier. Because setting up Cabal and Haskell toolchain on Windows is not something that I can help you with really, because my computer runs Linux and I haven't one. And I haven't been running Windows for since forever. So yeah, if you can install Nix on Windows and then use this section building via Nix, you can run Cardano node on your machine, and then you could experiment with Cardano CLI, and just at a low level. Normally, everyone on Cardano does it at some point in their life, because Cardano node is the kind of the main software or on Cardano. Everything else that you have, all other technologies, they work through it. Or they use it under the hood somehow. If you would say, for example, I want to develop smart contracts, there are much easier ways to develop smart contracts rather than running Cardano node. But because it's just a central piece of software that we have, it's a good kind of a thing to try. And so install Nix and then try to run Cardano node via Nix to build it. And then if you can build it, just message me, or I've succeeded, or message in the developer experience working group. I will just send you the link, and I will support you with further instructions on what to do. And the so I'm gonna just.
This is Nix is currently supported on Linux and Mac.
As of Windows 10, Microsoft supports Linux and Linux programs on Nix on Windows OS. Installations can be found at. So you can you have to install Windows subsystem for Linux, and then follow the page which I shared with you to install Nix, and then there's a simpler way. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe the simpler way is to use building via Cabal instructions.
Okay, yeah.
But then you have to find out, and I can share. Of course, I can share documentation with you on how to install Haskell toolchain on Windows. But I don't think it would be much easier and will save you a lot of time. And I do really encourage you to support, to try use Nix at the first place. And if it doesn't work and we cannot figure it out, then maybe trying to install GHC and all the Haskell stuff on your Windows machine so that you can build Cardano node. Because that's actually the job of Nix, is to automate all this huge instruction for, like, I would say 5 pages, maybe 6 pages of different stuff there. It takes up like 80% at least of this document, getting Cardano node, which is the alternative path, to get it. Oh yeah, and there's also this Windows MSIS2 instructions. So there's instructions for getting Cardano node on Linux specifically. If you can see, just yeah, we'll just share my screen. So window, entire screen.
Well, what do you think would be more useful? Should I try to get this to work on Windows, or should I just get Linux and do it the normal way?
Well, again, governance is mostly like you wanna get into programming a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, that's fair enough. Then yeah, I mean,
I think a big barrier to entry for people that want to get into Cardano or blockchain in general is I think they're really intimidated by the actual software. You know what I mean?
I know I was intimidated as well, but then that's definitely a problem, because we are expecting people who just coming in and exploring things to work with software which is normally production grade. So if you would like to work on software on such complexity outside of open source, there's a huge process, and you probably so you have to get hired, and that's a big point of working on Cardano and other open source projects as well, is that if you want to be an engineer or a software developer, you have to understand how software is being developed, the process of it. And the best way to do that is to participate in the process. So like completing introductory tasks like this is something that represents the things that people expect you do, and that will actually help you, wrap your mind around what's happening, programming side, and most importantly, talk to developers. Because
yeah, I agree.
But I really do support you here with the thing that it's really freaking intimidating, and just running the basic software card and a node requires, if you are like majority of users, Windows user, like most people on Earth probably still use Windows. And so you have to know what is Windows subsystem for Linux, and then Nix, and then and then actually you can do Cardano node, because Nix takes care of that. Yeah, that's quite intimidating. And governance, but it's just the nature of this particular meeting. We are a developer experience working group, right? And this working group is connected to the open source committee, and so the goal of this group, the drive of this group, is to help people on board and start programming. We acknowledge the steep learning curve. What can we do?
It is what it is. Yeah. I see that had someone else join. Uday.
Yeah, hi Uday. How are you?
Hello, Alex. Hi, Austin. Hello. How are you?
Good to meet you.
So meanwhile, just if you see my screen, that's I suppose what Just a moment. What was that command that I ran? Oh yeah, nix run node. So you will see a screen like this, which means Cardano node is running.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's quite a few steps before you can do that. So yeah, that's just, it's running. It takes a while, and before I can test it, but just to look at it, and the command which is running, you see like this nix run, because I have this step complete, having nix, and so that's the steps that you are missing so far on your Windows. Значит, on your Windows machine, what you need to complete is Windows subsystem for Linux, and then installing Nix. After, you will be able, hopefully, you will be able to run that command that I just ran before, and it should start in the same way as on my machine.
Okay.
With some caveats, a little bit, but that's all in the manual. And I mean, yeah, it's intimidating. But if you get stuck, just contact me, and I will help you. Or just yeah, what I wanted to do is to ping you in the developer experience working group.
Okay. All right. Yeah, this will be a great place for me to get started. Thank you.
Yeah, and just show you what you have to see. Posting. So. This is how you know your node is running. So yeah, takes quite a while. Some people take about half a year to complete this. Depending on what you'd like, because governance is not only about open source committee and governance of open source projects. There's let's see what's going on. Yeah, so the next meeting, the rep working group, you can find it in the Intersect Discord. You can learn about, I hope it will meet. I don't know if it's meeting, or the technical steering committee is quite technical, right? We have tools, API. So today we have Wednesday, and it's all the meetings are quite kind of. Oh, I cannot share that meeting. So, oh yeah, we have community support working group at the moment, which is doing something. I don't know. I haven't attended it in a while, but it's. I mean, I don't know what's going on with it. So yeah, if you want a group which is governance themed and doesn't require coding, probably that's. I'm sharing the event tomorrow at about around the same time, maybe a little bit earlier. Governance tools just governance working group. Intersect governance working group weekly. Oh yeah, it's a couple of hours after today. So yeah, if you get there and see what the people are talking, like, I have no idea. I haven't been there, but it's named as the thing that you expressed interest in. So I'm recommending you.
Okay. Yeah, I see that tomorrow at 7 a.m. for me. Okay. Cool.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you for joining. Enjoy your day.
Yeah. Yeah. You too. Have a good one, guys.
Yep.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye-bye. How you doing?
How are you?
Oh,
How are you?
how am I? Oh, I am. Uh, f- I am confused and flabbergasted, and but I'm happy today because I went to doctor, and the doctor took some stuff out of my ears, and I can hear again, and I'm less confused because the couple of days I couldn't hear in my one ear and very badly on another ear, and it's just I don't know. You probably can imagine how confusing it is. It's just threw me out of balance.
Did you go to the beach more or was it something else?
No, I stayed more at home because it's like my ear started to ache, and especially when the wind blows in it, it's like I just felt like and so I stayed home for several days. I actually did quite well, I think, in this week on quiet work. Some writing. I contributed to Amaro again by kicking the maintainers' butts. And
Good.
yeah, I ran Cardano node for the first time in so long.
Uh, how about so you got selected for the new committee? Which committee is? Forgetting the name. Which one is?
Civics.
Civics, huh?
Yeah,
Wow.
I have meeting
You're going
tomorrow.
to make the people more disciplined. Is that what it is?
I'm curious actually about it. I was writing on the Cardano forum about what it is and how it's going to be, and I'm trying to make sense of it as I go. My concern is it's very political subject, civics.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thinking about the things that I will be thinking in civics is really goes to what I think the core value of crypto ecosystems could be potentially is to limit the power of government. Well, we are recording. I'm not gonna speak about it anymore.
Okay, no, that's great. You will be among very few people holding some of the committees. So very glad I can tell my friend Alexa is in the committee as well. So great.
Glad to hear I'm your friend.
Yeah, your friend, man. I know very few people who are in committees, right? When Anuj came here, so Anuj from Imurgo Cardano Sports. So I said, okay, he got in marketing committee, I think. So our friend Bernard could not make through the OSC.
Quite a
So
few, famous or like powerful people. Arno, who joined the open source committee, is a real visionary. He's. I met him in Builderfest, and we had some nice conversations. And I was really impressed, with the brain power that Cardano has, because some like the things that he's thinking about, for example, are kind of obvious on one side, but on the other side, nobody's talking about them, and there's look and feel quite revolutionary and interesting. Yeah, so I'm happy to see where he's going to be and what's going to be his relationship with Adam Dean and with Lucas, who is the chair. But maybe they will just turn off the lights on the end of June, because that's
on what?
on Intersect overall.
Is it?
Well, people start panicking about the GovTool proposal didn't get funded by DRIPS. And so if we do not have maintenance for GovTool, will it be available online? And if it's not a service that is available to Cardano users, how are Cardano users to exercise governance other than using GovTool? And if it's not available, well, I suppose you could still participate as an SPO, because you would have a Cardano node running, and you would be able to, or through like APIs, probably you could register a DREP and submit proposals and things like that. But
I
it
think
will
only
take.
I mean, understand maybe the DREP thing is very good. It's very good, decentralized and blah blah. But also we have a provision in DREP. A lot of things are getting centralized because everybody's delegating. So with all those combinations, sometimes they can also make wrong decision as well. It's possible, right? So everybody think, oh, this side looks good, or these are priority. And in budget also, I think it also happened that like if there are 4 things, if you select top 3, it doesn't mean the 4th one was kind of not correct. It's just that somehow the people thought that those 3 are priority somehow.
I don't think the point of TREPs is to make the best decision. Just reading this book through my travel to Da Nang and other, like waiting in the airports and things, I got to read this book from the Nobel Prize from 2024 in economics. And so the book talks about, well, the outtake or takeaway from the book for Intersect would be that if we want Cardano to succeed, the vision of Cardano is to be a digital nation, right? And so as a digital nation, it's a form of money which is governed not based on a nation-state principle, but without any geographic, sort of constraints. It's an international consortium, of people who want to use this currency. And so as a digital nation, it would thrive on innovation in investment. So business is built on, but the takeaway from Why Nations Fail, this book, is that if a nation wants to prosper through innovation and investment, it should provide the rights and opportunities for its citizens to represent their interests in the government and actively empower them and support them. And then what happens, people who are able to protect their rights introduce checks and balances which protect them, which enable them to have businesses and enterprise, and that motivates people to get involved and to, be productive. And why people do not get involved and not stay productive in the countries which do not have inclusive political institutions, because intuitively they understand that the people who have the political power are able to introduce checks and balances that protect their interests, but people who do not come from the political power or not affiliated with it, they feel exploited. And in many cases, it is how it is, because when people have political power, they introduce institutions and mechanisms to exploit other people or exploit the environment. And so if Cardano is to survive in the long run, what it should do, it should talk to anyone who is interested, and then help them get involved into governing the project so that they can be involved. And that seems to be the push for the Intersect so far. Governance participation is our main KPI, and that's what we want to do and how we operate.
I believe, in the current things, I also initially was a bit scared, but I believe that things will fall in place automatically. So many people's billions of dollars at stake, right? So things will fall in place. Nobody wants it to fail as such. Like, people want to fight and everybody want to take the power, but nobody want it to fail.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, what about the Cardano RNR project? How is the milestone?
I think it's approved. Yes, it's approved.
Oh, nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Happy to be helpful.
Yeah. That's good help. Sorry, couldn't continue, but thank you for help. Lot going on this side, and I'm also stuck in so many things, so many responsibilities. time is quite challenging now. I'm so happy to have now drinking tea now and talking to you. Like it's relaxing for me right now. Like most of the time, too much of pressure on the task.
Oh, I mean, I can relate here because this is my only job, and our contracts are kind of hang out in the air, in the middle, and so I was panicking just the other week on what am I supposed to do. Go teach English here, open a company here in Vietnam for software development, so that I can, and then. I don't know. It was a tough week, especially with the talks between Trump and Putin, and this whole thing with the war. I think it affects everyone.
Yeah.
I know it definitely affects me. I don't have opinion on everyone, but yeah. So nice to have this moment of
Yeah. On other side, like thinking about the Cardano and all those things, like you're saying, on one side this panic come, don't know what will happen to Intersect, what will happen to these various funding initiatives, and even our Dayward work it. We are working for free to Catalyst and all those things. We don't know what will happen, right? So
it's the real Wild West out there.
Yeah, these all uncertainties are definitely taxing, but we have to, I think, learn in a way that things will take time, more time than we think, and what we can do.
Just a sec.
Eventually, better sense will prevail. But
Yeah.
it will take a lot of time.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, I just wrote today in the civics committee that I believe that the mission and the vision of Cardano is still relevant in the, despite the changes in the real world. Still, pretty much Cardano remains quite resilient. I hope, in the face of challenges and things. And so, yeah, I'm also hopeful for a catalyst. Maybe we can continue our work if I can be helpful to your team as well. It's been a pleasure. Although language barrier is difficult for me, I have to adjust to the accent because people from India speak English quite quickly, but at the same time, not in a way that other English speakers do. And that's like, especially talking to the team members, they tend to, when I don't understand, they withdraw and stop talking. When it's like, it's me who have to adjust by listening more, and getting people to talk was the main challenge in working with the team. And our meetings were not always very long and quite often short, because people were just like, yeah, okay, let's work over text. And that's what we have in Vietnam as well.
Yeah, it can be. You're right that mostly Indian people will speak very fast.
Well, English is lingua franca across India. People just use it to communicate. Yeah. So. Yeah.
So on the task front point of view, I think it was mostly based on the team. I think on R&R there was a bit of frustration going on that time. Finally, we got approved, so everybody's happy. Finally,
Amazing.
I think when we got approved, let me tell you, I think 13th, so last week basically, and not yet approved by Catalyst, but the second we were approved, and it was like after 5 or 6 kind of the things. Since you involved also, like 3 times we tried or something like that, right? So it was a bit frustrating. For me also, that one was, and still the reviewer given the feedback, I'm still not happy, but I'm just approving it, kind of the things almost.
Well, at least we could talk him down, But I mean, they should approve, because the suggesting changes in that case, I don't think it was right. I mean, the voters voted for a certain, specification which was there, and then making changes. Like if the project realizes that the thing that they were building is not feasible and proposes changes, that is, it is the process in Catalyst, then it's fair and square. But if the reviewer says, oh no, I don't like your architecture, well, I'm sorry, you don't like my architecture, but it's like you're not working for this team. And as a reviewer, it's a bit of a moderator problem.
Yeah, that was the kind of exactly the things was happening. Initially, possibly we did one or two mistakes, and we also adapted. But it was getting too much. So my last submission was I was a little bit too direct, and I was also kind of, we did it kind of the things, and we know what we're doing kind of the thing. So anyway, we got through right now, but still it's milestone 2, so milestone 3, 4 is still pending. We'll see. On that, Alex, I mean, if you have any suggestion or thought on also working more, I don't know, are you seeing it with the Civics committee? You will be moving away from the developer advocate side, or you will keep this plus that, or how you managing?
I have meeting with the Civics committee tomorrow, I suppose. And it's not a good start because it's like 11 p.m. for me, and I wake up at 6, 7 all the time. I don't know. It's like just my body keeps waking up at the time. So I'll attend the first meeting if I have the energy. Otherwise, I will tell them that I'm going to work asynchronously and show up at meetings maybe when I can. But Cardano is an open source ecosystem, and thinking anything else at this point would be not very productive. So I believe developer advocate on the Civics committee is the right thing to have. I'll keep for sure as a developer advocate, and because I like I'm not an engineer by my profession background or whatever, but I've been fiddling with computers since I was like 12 years old, and I do understand programming. I do like make computers do what I want, and so. Yeah, I'm exploring some deep things now and some interesting innovation on Cardano, and I don't think anything will, apart, some like extraordinary factors would take me away from developing on Cardano and being just close with the developers, because this is what I enjoy the most. Civics is a duty, I'm elected, whatever, like civil servant, but my passion is with programming.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's good balance. I do like your approach or thinking, because that balances pretty well. There's no conflict of interest, because otherwise could be like you can't be in open source committee and also be developer advocate. You can't be, right? That's some of the open source project also you can't do it if you are committee member kind of things, right? So there is a conflict of interest aspects are there. One of the reasons I didn't stand for the committee, first is the time. I think that I could not give the time. The second one also, I saw potentially the conflict of interest in case I want to be maintainer or want my team members to kind of involved on few things, then it has become simply the conflict of interest there. So committee members, I think we have to be very careful on conflict of interest part.
Yeah, that's the question that I have to ask in the committee meeting, and before we apply,
I think you are okay. You are okay. You are in civics committee. You can be developer advocate in another open source committee. I think you are okay in my view.
We talked about this with Tex, and I think Tex confirmed that any other committee except for open source is fine. I don't know, maybe technical steering committee would be also conflict of interest.
Yes, technical steering also could be, yes.
Yeah, but
they share some budget kind of the things, right? So so it's related to the money kind of things. Yeah. What else happening? Like what we can do more, Alex? Let's say how we can make Cardano great from here.
How we can make Cardano great?
Or what more we can do, like you and me, what we can do in terms of, I mean, to say like any project or any potential you see here where I can do for you or you can do for me kind of thing. Any idea, suggestion? With respect.
I was going to offer maybe to work on another project connected to real estate that just don't have the customer at the moment,
Which one?
Well, looking at Cardano RNR, I realized that I was looking at a very similar idea.
Oh, okay.
So my family owns a couple of apartments in a condo.
Okay.
And so I was proposing for the fund, for the next fund, is to develop a decentralized autonomous organization for managing shared property like a condo. Because DAOs are good for solving the commons issues, probably. That's the experiments that we're running. And so in a condo, you have the commons where in the condo that I know, there's the common territory, which requires maintenance. So there's like staff who does that. There's common electricity bill and there's common water bill. And so building an application, a blockchain-powered application, where we could basically provide people with the functionality that they would use, to collectively run this thing. So there would be circles, different groups of people responsible for different kinds of spending, or maybe. So that's the innovation in DAOs, that nobody knows how exactly they work. And so it's about implementing activities and ways to capture this kind of value exchange in different ways. So in the basic level, people just pay taxes, they pay the maintenance fee, and then there's three dudes who collectively sign a bill for the maintenance in the most basic shape.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you some interesting fact, or rather number, which are relate to me. Like, I live in condo, big one, right? Big kind of community of the people. There are 4,500 apartments. So huge, 100-acre kind of, okay? And I calculate the maintenance of the year, all these like common stuff, some of the common stuff. We collectively, the budget is $3 million for a year. $3 million. Can you imagine? Like, that's like good size company revenue, right?
Yeah.
And that is now managed by the elected personnel and things like that. Now imagine that one person go rogue, or starts siphoning money, and the corruption goes there. Like, oh, this is public money, right? Everybody's contributing maybe $1,000, but like that's like still become huge money, right? And I think this is like, I do agree that your kind of idea where like these monies or this kind of that contribution is locked in some sort of escrows or for purpose, and then it is released based on some task rather than some 1% or 2%. Because right now in the community there is one cashier, or like the accountant, or they just write the check kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, but it's quite big task to do, though, right? Okay, and we can develop the software. I think the challenge I foresee is like implementing on the ground. Always going to be,
Yeah.
be there 2-3 years to keep on working to make it implemented. Then maybe you can see some success here.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the idea I had, like because it's pretty similar to what your team is doing, and it's always nice to kind of.
Yeah, I'm not sure this one relates so much to the review one. Review one is slightly different, right? But we are working on very different thing, which is related to the hotel, which is like, but again, that's also very different, not related. But I'm sharing. I think you possibly spoke to one of the hotel project guy as well, and there I am very excited that I want to really bring a product for hotel industry where we are able to implement SSI concept or a DID concept basically, and GQP as well. So these are the kind of the things I'm trying to implement there. And crypto payment is easy anyway, but like I'm going to try see, and there I integrate the loyalty points, reviews, feedback. This is basically feedback mechanism, right? And kind of, so this is the one of my vision, that put the hospitality or hotel related tech stack one by one together and then take it to the market kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that's like your industry and where you work at, and nice to know you, because potentially, a lot of my time I spend in hotels and working around there, and maybe
Yeah.
hopefully get some ideas about what can we really build for the people on the ground,
Yeah. Good. I think it's almost time, Alex. You
Yep.
also take some rest, and nice seeing you on the call
Likewise.
here, and nice
Yeah.
talking to you. We'll
Thank
be in
you.
touch. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
My apologies. Time to time, I'm slow on responding. Sorry, I'm middle of too many things, so I keep on missing some of the messages or not prompt. So it's my fault, but please pardon me.
Oh, don't worry. Being assertive is something that I have to practice to be a good leader, and a good leader is somewhere where just life keeps taking me, so it's all right.
Okay, then I'm fine. That's good. Thank you. Nice catching up.
Yeah,
Bye bye.
likewise. See you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.